Power in numbers. That's the saying we need to start off today's video with. The video about features, mainly seen on PS3 and Xbox 360, was received very well, and you shared a lot of stuff in the comments yourself. It'd be a shame to ignore that. That's why today, we'll continue the subject, and we'll see that the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions are even more special than we thought after the last video. For starters, Slidey Cars cheat code. It's ideal for drifting around. Cars gain special properties thanks to which driving becomes really fun. Some players also said that this cheat code raised the realism of the driving model, making it harder, but in a good way. Unfortunately, on the enhanced versions, the cheat code was significantly modified. The main reason was probably a certain side effect it produced. See, it allowed a player to reach much higher speeds with cars. Currently, the cheat code is not so fun. It causes the cars to be barely drivable. Attempts to do so often end up looking like spinning around on the spot. The cheat code became pretty useless. It's difficult to have fun with. I don't understand this change, and I don't get why testers didn't react to it. Or even if they did and said that the new functionality is poor, then why did no one do anything about that? We know that Trevor's special ability grants him invincibility. However, it doesn't work in all situations nowadays. See, Trevor's ability doesn't save us from fall damage. As soon as Trevor begins to fall, his ability gets disabled and we cannot enable it back on until he's on the ground. On the old consoles, it looked differently. Turning on Trevor's ability was possible in those situations, thanks to which we could be falling from huge heights and survive it without a problem. Some say it was a cool feature, others say that it was too much. As for me, those special abilities of the protagonists are completely magic anyway, so if the developers made Trevor invincible during his rage mode, I'd also leave the fall damage prevention. Although I'm open for discussion, so let me know how you see it. On a side note, it's worth adding that there's still a trick which allows Trevor to survive any fall without taking any damage. See, all it takes is to push yourself off an edge by an explosion. Then the game does not cancel the ability and therefore Trevor survives the fall. And now to a thing that's pretty important in my opinion. You let me know in the comments that on the old versions, the police cars could spawn on off-road trails leading up Mount Chiliad during chases. I checked that out and you were right. On the new version, it's very different, and it's a shame. After all, the older spawning system of police cars was more realistic and more demanding for a player. In the current version, it seems that Mount Chiliad gives us some legal immunity. Seriously, it's an easy way to lose the cops. Just drive up the mountain. GTA 5 on PS3 and Xbox 360 offered a really cool challenge in this matter. Driving up Mount Chiliad with a wanted level was not only a tricky feat, but it often was also pure comedy. The policemen, as you know, often struggle with such irregular terrain. And now, another thing which takes fun away from us on the enhanced version. See, on the old consoles, in some trailers, like the one with the logo of the brand Big Goods, you could open the rear door by firing a few shots at it. Furthermore, the inside was not blocked. You could drive a vehicle inside it. And here's a question from me to those who played around with it. Is there any way to close the rear door again, or at least to block it somehow, so the car inside it wouldn't fall out while driving forward? Cause it's a banger of a function in my opinion. But the problem is that it's highly limited by the fact that the cars do not move along with the whole rig and quickly fall out of the trailer while driving. Anyway, playing around with this gets really funny sometimes. For example, when the cops chasing us drive inside it and become confused. Precisely those kind of images are what creates beautiful memories. In the new versions, the rear door is unopenable. I guess it's because this function is a little glitched up and sometimes some weird satanic arts are going on. Either way, it's a real shame that instead of fixing it or just leaving it as it is, Rockstar decided to throw it away completely. The next thing is a little off topic because it also appears on PS4, Xbox One, and the PC legacy versions of the game, but I really want to talk about it because it's ridiculous. Most of you probably know that there's a few places in GTA 5 where we've got a strong water current. We've even got a full-blown waterfall. See, on the 7th and 8th generation consoles, swimming in those places, and rightly so, was impossible because our protagonist would always get sucked in with the current temporarily taking away the possibility to control our character. I still remember experiencing it for the first time. That's a great effect. I mean, I would probably crap my pants in real life, but in the game, I was rather impressed with the realism of this mechanism. And now, listen up. On the new expanded and enhanced edition, it's gone. Not only that, the game gets completely lost without this effect, and swimming there ends up with our character swimming in air, or slightly underwater in a very unnatural way. It's a challenge to figure out why this was disabled. I think we'd be better off with leaving such amazing physics functions intact in games. Another cool feature from the old days of GTA Online was that if we called our mechanic to get our ride delivered to us, he used to physically drive the car to us. Currently, the car we requested appears nearby out of nowhere when we're not looking. And here, there's room to excuse this change, since the function had a lot of bugs.
Here it is!
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
On the other hand though, it's another example of Rockstar throwing away certain features instead of fixing them. Another thing we can experience only on PS3 and Xbox 360 is that when we use the Super Jump cheat code, the game gives us much more control over our character in the air. While on PC, we can only slightly influence where we land. Cheat codes are mainly for fun. The more freedom we've got with them, the better. This may not be a huge disadvantage, but it's also a thing I'd comment by saying, it's a shame. Going further, we've got something many people wrote about. See, in the days of GTA Online on PS3 and Xbox 360, cars that were being released along with updates for online were made available in the main character's personal garages completely for free. And this proves something we've already talked about in the past. Back then, online used to be fun-oriented, not a machine to milk players of their cash. Cause look, at the beginning, they gave us a lot of stuff for nothing. They made the players depend on that. Classic case of the drug dealer effect. A dealer will happily give his customer a free hit as he knows that they'll soon run straight back to him asking for more, very willing to pay for it, as long as they get their new favorite treat. And sure, online works in a way which allows us to earn the sufficient amount of money to buy those items through simply playing the game. But we often don't have a lot of time to do that, and to do plenty of other things. Statistics work mercilessly against us here. When we badly want to test something out and we see a shortcut to do that here and now, there's a big chance that many will fall for it. In GTA Online, that shortcut is of course the shark cards. Another more subtle difference is to do with a certain GTA Online safe house in Paleto Bay, the one you can see on the screen right now. In the description of the property, a water feature in the back is mentioned. However, no such feature is to be found there. It turns out that on the PS3 and Xbox 360, there was a nice little fountain there, which got removed in the enhanced version, which irritated some people. Why was that done? Well, only Rockstar knows. And now, something I add more for you to judge, because I don't know what to think. A few people wrote in the comments that they find the explosion effect on the old consoles better. For me though, the effect on the newer versions seems more appealing. But as I said, I'm interested in what y'all think. And now another cool thing type of feature. One of the viewers wrote that vehicle explosions used to be, let's call it contagious on the old consoles. What it means is that if a car exploded next to another vehicle, the other vehicle would explode immediately after the first, creating a more spectacular effect. I checked that out and yes, that is what happens. In the newer releases, this is not present. An explosion often does light adjacent vehicles on fire, but they need a while to eventually explode. Another deficit you noticed was a certain cool option. I'm talking about the checklist option on the phone. From what I managed to find out, it disappeared along with the update introducing GTA Online. In the early versions, we used to have an option in our phone which listed all available tasks to complete for a given protagonist, including side activities like a shooting range challenge or a private dance in a strip club. A dope feature, especially for someone completing the game 100%. It was simply easier to keep up with your progress. On the new versions, in the place of the checklist, we've got the job list option, which is an overlap from GTA Online, which doesn't even function on single player. It always just reads, no jobs available. Big disadvantage. In the place of a cool feature, something completely useless was implemented instead. Another thing that's pretty at first glance, but then players got irritated by it, I'm talking about the possibility of changing your clothes while on a mission. In the original versions, a player was free to do that. Not in the newer versions though. Upon approaching a wardrobe, no text box appears and pressing E on the keyboard or the right D-pad, so the interaction keys doesn't do anything. And as much as heist missions are concerned, it makes sense that you gotta have a particular outfit. But in the case of missions like The Long Stretch, for example, where the game changes our outfit to a casual one from Frank's wardrobe, then it's a bit weird really. Someone may not like it, and there's no logical reason for restricting a player from changing their threads in such missions. Another nice little flavor was the Infernus car. More precisely, its interior, which in the original versions was red, not black like on the current ones. By the way, that red one looked really neat. It gave the car a sporty look. It fit great with the first-person view. Shame it got changed. And now, a thing which is only my strong impression, but it may make sense, as we found out in the previous video that the frequency and intensity of certain events was reduced on PC in comparison to the earlier releases. See, while testing various things on my PS3 on multiple occasions, I was in shock while verifying something in South Central. Sometimes, out of nowhere, a horde of pissed off gangsters began to spray me with bullets, giving me little chance of escape. All it would take was to explode a vehicle, jack a car in the wrong neighborhood, or fire a few shots. And then, before I even noticed what's going on, I was surrounded by some ghetto cats trying to shoot me down, or chasing me in cars if I attempted to drive away. I knew that in GTA 5, the gangs react if you're making too much noise on their turf, but I don't recall experiencing such deadly ambushes. I think that this next thing is pretty crucial in the context of the entire GTA series, and here I'll mostly rely on what you told me in the comments, plus other fan opinions on the internet. It's all about GTA Online. Before we get to the bottom of it, it's worth bringing up the multiplayer from GTA 4. It wasn't a great success for Take-Two or Rockstar, at least in the aspect of popularity and monetization. But at the same time, those who decided to give that game mode a try rarely regretted it. Quite the opposite, GTA 4 Online is highly rated by players to this day. It's also put in contrast to the modern online mode in GTA 5. If I were to briefly summarize the point here, I'd say that GTA 4 Online was designed so the players can just simply have fun and enjoy the gameplay, while GTA 5 Online is mostly oriented around doing all that can be done to change fun into a rat race, to abuse the instincts that are rooted in many of us, and to exploit that unrestrained need of the player, which turns their gameplay into a never-ending desire to purchase all the newest cars and tune them into space rockets, to buy all the properties, to complete the new DLC as quickly as possible. And once you've got it all and you feel like a winner, then you're mostly a complete loser who wasted half his life to get some items in the computer game, or threw away half their paycheck. Cause tell me, who's got so much time to sit in front of a computer non-stop and play all those missions, heists, races, and other things just in order to acquire maybe a 1/5 of all those possessions? I haven't really played GTA Online on my Xbox 360 a lot, as back then, I didn't have a lot financially and I couldn't really afford gold. However, I do remember that I really enjoyed that game mode and wished I could play it more. It seemed much less commercialized, and it fits with what you wrote in the comments. You wrote that it was a period where online was a place where you could have fun and spend time with others. Times in which Take-Two hasn't yet realized what financial potential lies in this game mode. These days, we know what it's like. Sessions filled with flying motorbikes, with homing rockets, hackers, inflated prices, and replaying the same heists over and over again to be able to afford any of those expensive features yourself, which often gets replaced by spending money on shark cards just to have any of that. And also, thanks for confirming my impression in the recent video in the comments, where I said that the driving model was more pleasant on the old consoles. Plenty of comments from people who on one hand would have sworn that driving on the old consoles felt much better, but lived in the conviction that it all may just be an illusion. And one of the viewers said something that convinced me even more, that the downforce of the vehicles was nerfed. And that aligns with my experience. For me, cars aren't so firmly gripped to the ground on the old consoles. The driving feels freer. They slide more easily, while still allowing a player to regain control, which makes fast driving very exciting. On PC though, everything is a bit stiff. The skids get corrected immediately, and vehicles are gripped. It's a little like driving a Formula 1, and that lines up with that theory, that the downforce was simply increased, which makes the vehicles more tightly gripped to the surface, which is a downgrade in my opinion. So yeah, take that as a more detailed explanation of something that was already mentioned in the last video. And at the end, I will also mention that you were right to point out that not only the wasted and busted sounds were different, but also the mission failed sound effect.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
And I think that's about it. I think that those two videos showed that if you're someone who values the atmosphere and the content in a game more than the texture quality or the FPS counts, or if you're a fan of older GTA titles, but never really liked GTA 5, then it's worth considering switching to the original versions of this game, as the experience which those versions offer are drastically different and much more similar to those older titles. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, supporting, and commenting. Take care and see you soon.